Welcome, dear friends, and welcome back to our quiet corner of history. To all returning travelers, thank you for joining me once again beneath this gentle night sky. Your presence is a lantern that warms these journeys, and to those visiting for the very first time, may this little sanctuary of stories bring you the calm, comfort, and rest your heart seeks tonight. Settle in now. Let the world outside soften. Feel the weight of the day loosen from your shoulders, and let your breath begin to slow, like the fading echo of footsteps along an ancient stone path. Tonight, we embark on a journey woven from the whispers of civilizations long gone. A journey through winters older than memory, through temple halls lit by flickering torches, across snow-covered forests humming with drums, through Roman kitchens glowing with warmth, and into the quiet hearts of healers, families, and communities who faced winter's touch with wisdom, resilience, and tenderness. Our story is called Whispers of the Past, How Ancient Civilizations Managed Winter Sickness. But it is more than a history. It is a reminder that long before modern medicine, our ancestors walked gently through the colder months with remedies born from nature, from ritual, from harmony, and from the simple yet profound instinct to care for one another. You will hear of Egyptian healers crafting honeyed infusions beneath the glow of oil lamps, of Greek philosophers who believed the body and spirit must balance like the tides of the sea, of Roman kitchens where broth simmered to soothe winter-weary bones, of Mesoamerican sweat lodges where warmth and steam embraced the sick, of northern tribes who gathered around fire to heal with sound, scent, and unity, and of the countless quiet homes across continents where families shaped their spaces to protect each other from the bite of winter. These tales, dear traveler, are not simply stories of remedies and rituals. They are stories of humanity, of how we have always faced winter as the long nights, together. So as we begin, take a deep breath. Feel the rhythm of your heart slow to match the gentle cadence of time unfurling behind us. Imagine the soft glow of ancient firelight on stone walls, the scent of warm herbs drifting through the air, the hush of winter winds brushing across quiet villages, and the calm resolve of healers whose knowledge shaped centuries of survival. This is a journey meant not to excite, but to soothe, a journey that moves at the pace of a resting heartbeat, steady, slow, peaceful. Before we enter the first chapter, allow me to offer a small request. If you find comfort in these quiet travels through history, if these soft stories help you drift into sleep, I invite you to gently subscribe to the channel. Your support helps these tranquil tales continue and creates a peaceful little haven for travelers across the world who seek rest and wonder in equal measure. And remember, once the spoken story comes to its close, calming music will continue for you, guiding you deeper into sleep, letting your mind drift freely while your body settles into warmth and stillness. You do not need to stay awake. These stories are meant to hold you gently until dreams arrive. Tonight, dear friend, we trace the ancient pathways of winter healing, from the first flicker of torchlight in Egyptian temples to the final embers of hearth fires in distant lands. May their wisdom settle softly around you. May their stories guide you gently toward rest. And may the quiet resilience of our ancestors remind you that, even in the coldest seasons, warmth is always close at hand. Let us begin our journey. Close your eyes if you wish. Let the night embrace you, and follow me into Chapter 1, where winter arrives across the ancient world, and the first whispers of timeless resilience begin to stir. When winter arrives, the ancient struggle as the last embers of autumn faded and the breath of winter crept across the ancient world. A hush would fall over lands both mighty and humble. From the golden sands of Egypt to the stone-lined streets of Rome, from the mountain cities of Greece to the far reaches of distant civilizations, the coming of winter was a season of both quiet beauty and deep unease. And it, Isira, dear traveler, that our journey begins beneath a sky brushed with pale starlight, in the world as it existed thousands of years before our own. Winter, in those distant ages, was not merely a change of temperature. It was a presence, a wandering spirit. Some believe it, drifting through villages, temples, and markets. It carried with it the stillness of cold nights, the sharp bite of frost, the thinness of breath when the air grew heavy and harsh. For ancient peoples, The arrival of winter sickness was as predictable as the shortening of the days. They watched it move from household to household like a shadow slipping beneath a doorframe. Yet, they did not face it with fear alone, but with memory, ritual, and a profound understanding of the world around them. Imagine now the first soft snowfall settling upon the rooftops of a Roman town. The streets grow quieter, the warmth of summer's markets becoming only a distant echo. In nearby homes, families gather close, their lamps flickering with amber light. T-wise, one's mothers, elders, healers, begin preparing for the season ahead. They know that with winter's whisper often comes a tightened chest, a persistent cough, a weariness that drifts through the body like cold wind through an open window. Across the sea in Greece, the winds grow stronger. Farmers bring in the last of their olives and grains, tying their cloaks around their shoulders. The great thinkers, the scholars, sit by their hearths, reflecting on the harmony of the body and the balance of nature. Even here, in the cradle of philosophy, the winter season was understood as a test of strength, of community, and of wisdom passed through generations. Further still, beyond deserts and across wide rivers, the ancient Egyptians watched the Nile move more slowly under winter as a cool breath. It was a strange thing, winter in Egypt. Not the frozen world seen in northern lands, but a quieter chill that seeped into the bones, carried on the night winds that rolled across the dunes. They too had learned to expect certain ailments during these months. Dryness of throat, tightness in the chest, a sense of heaviness that followed the turning of the year. And within their temples, lit by tall, burning torches, the priest-physicians would unroll ancient papyri, filled with carefully written remedies, prayers, and observations. Yet despite their differences in climate, language, and belief, each of these civilizations shared something beautifully humanite. Pride. Winter sickness was no stranger to them, and though they lacked the medicines of our modern time, they possessed something equally powerful. An attentive eye. They watched the world closely. They studied patterns of wind, the timing of illness, the effect of herbs and meals, the warmth of fire, and the strength of togetherness. Nothing was accidental to them. Everything was a lesson whispered from one season to the next. As the nights lengthened, firelight became a guardian in many homes. In Mesoamerican villages, families sat within round structures warmed by earth and stone, telling stories that reminded them of resilience and harmony with nature. In the great halls of northern tribes, people wrapped themselves in furs, while healers ground plants whose properties they understood by instinct and experience. Everywhere, across continents and centuries, the approach of winter sparked a kind of quiet readiness. And still, the struggle remained. For ancient civilizations, illness was not simply a condition of the body, it was a test of the spirit. They believed winter sickness drifted in with the cold, sometimes carried by spirits of the air, sometimes born of imbalance within the body, sometimes even a sign from the gods. Though their explanations varied, the feeling was universal. Winter required vigilance, tenderness, and care. Picture, if you will, a healer in an Egyptian village, her hands steady as she prepares a warm infusion of honey and herbs for a coughing child. Nearby, a father tends a small fire, adding wood with the gentle hope that warmth alone might chase sickness away. In Greece, a philosopher-physician walks, with slow steps, through cold courtyards, observing how breath fogs the air and how bodies tense against the chill. In Rome, a grandmother stirs a pot of spiced broth, whispering that the secret to healing lies not only in the ingredients but in the intention behind them. Tessicinis, though separated by oceans and time, share a thread, a quiet determination to care for one another through the most difficult months of the year. As we walk deeper into this story together, you will see that ancient peoples were not helpless against winter ailments. They were inventive. They were observant. They wrapped their knowledge in ritual, in food, in herbs, in architecture, in spiritual belief. They were, in many ways, more sophisticated than history often gives them credit for. Tonight, dear traveler, as you listen beneath your own quiet roof, we step into their world not to fear the winter, but to understand it. To see how our ancestors met its challenges with wisdom, humility, and perseverance, and perhaps as you drift gently toward rest, you may feel a connection to them. The long line of humans who face the same chill in the air, the same shortening of days, the same ache of the body, and the same timeless desire for warmth, healing, and peace. And so, with winter's breath curling softly around the edges of our tale, we close this first chapter and step lightly toward the next, where remedies, rituals, and the ancient knowledge of healing begin to unfold. Misconceptions melt away for many centuries. The world has whispered a single story about ancient medicine, a soft, persistent misconception that those who lived long before us healed only through superstition and chance. But as we step deeper into their winter world, moving past flickering torches and quiet hearts, the truth becomes clearer. Ancient healing was far from primitive. It was observational, intentional, and shaped by generations who listened closely to nature's hidden vocabulary. Tonight, we peel back the mist of misunderstanding and wander into the deeper chambers of ancient knowledge, places where fear gives way to insight, and forgotten wisdom glows like embers beneath fallen snow. Imagine standing at the edge of a bustling Egyptian marketplace during a rare, cool season. The sky has softened into a pale gold, and traders wrap cloths across their shoulders as chilly winds drift from the north. A traveler watching this scene from afar might assume that the people treated illness with charms alone. But step closer, and you would see something far more grounded. You would see healers watching patterns. How a cough begins, how breath changes with cold, how certain herbs dry the throat while others soothe it. You would hear them speak of balance, of heat and coolness within the body, of airways tightened by dust carried on winter winds. There was superstition. Yes, for all humans we've stories to understand the unknown, but beneath those stories lived a discipline built on careful observation. Their remedies came not from random chance, but from centuries of testing, noting, refining. And so, misconception begins to melt like frost beneath morning sunlight. Across the sea in Greece, the story grows even clearer. We often picture ancient Greeks as philosophers alone, draped in white robes as they debate the meaning of existence. Yet many among them were physicians, thinkers of the body as much as of the soul. They believed disease was not a curse, but a disturbance, a shift in the harmony between the elements within us. Winter, with its coldness and stillness, had a predictable influence on this balance, and because it was predictable, it could be studied and prepared for. Travel onward, across hill and valley, and you would find sanctuaries where Greek physicians quietly recorded the symptoms that winter brought year after year. They wrote how the cold thickened the breath, tightened the skin, and slowed the body's natural heat. They were not always right, but their attempts were systematic, thoughtful, and rooted in a genuine desire to understand. Even in Rome, a civilization often remembered more for its armies and architecture than its medicinal insight. Healing was a practiced art. Roman healers kept records, adjusted diets, watched how illnesses rose and fell with the seasons. They believed, too, that winter had a personality, a temperament that influenced the body's own. And instead of facing it with fear, they tried to learn its rhythm, like sailors learning the currents of a restless sea. It is a soothing thought, really, to imagine ancient healers sitting beside dim lamplight, their eyes tracing words on scrolls, their minds turning over questions that feel familiar even now. What causes the tightening in the chest? Why do fevers come in cold months? More than warm. How can the body be strengthened before winter arrives? They didn't always have the answers, but they had curiosity, and they had patience. Let us walk now into a quieter, more intimate setting. A modest dwelling built of clay and red. Perhaps in Mesopotamia, or along the banks of the Indus. A mother gently observes her child's breathing. She notices the slight strain as colder air settles into the home. Without formal training, she still recognizes the need for warmth, for herbs steeped in hot water, for rest. This is not superstition. This is instinct, sharpened over generations. Ancient communities did not simply accept illness as fate. They observed. They adapted. They learned. But where, then, did the misconception come from? This idea that ancient medicine was little more than chants and charms. Perhaps it grew from the fragments history left behind. Charms survived the centuries as physical objects. Observation survived mostly as fading ink on brittle scrolls. It is easier to imagine a world ruled by superstition when the quiet details of everyday practice have been lost to time. Yet, if you listen closely to the echoes of their world, a different picture emerges. Consider the Egyptians once more. They are priest healers standing at the intersection of spirituality and early science. They believed in gods, yes, but they also believed in cause and effect. They understood that winter dryness irritated the throat. They noted that warm infusions loosened a cough. Winter, to them, was not a curse. It was a condition, one that demanded knowledge as much as prayer. Even the rituals that appear purely mystical often had hidden practicalities. A charm worn near the chest may have been believed to invite protection. Yet the herbs pressed into that charm were chosen for their scent, their antimicrobial qualities, or their calming aroma. What looks like superstition to a modern eye may have been a layered remedy. Part emotional comfort, part observational medicine. Across the globe, in cultures less written about, healers knew which plants warmed the body, which cleared the sinuses, which soothed sore throats. They learned from trial and error, season after season. Their knowledge lived not in books, but in memory, passed from elder to apprentice, from mother to child. To walk through the ancient world with open eyes is to realize that humans have always been students of nature. Winter's arrival did not scatter them into panic. It invited them into study. They felt the cold deeply, but they responded with ingenuity, instinct, and dedication. And so, as the misconceptions dissolve, what remains is a quiet respect. Our ancestors were not guessing in the dark. They were lighting small lamps of understanding, one remedy, one observation, one carefully crafted tradition at a time. Tonight, as your breath slows and your body finds rest, imagine those small lamps flickering across distant civilizations, illuminating scrolls, illuminating healing hands, illuminating the soft closeness of families tending to one another during the long, cold nights. Ancient medicine was not mere superstition. It was the beginning of a conversation between humanity and winter, between body and world. A conversation that continues even now. And with that gentle realization, we move onward to the next chapter of our story, where the remedies themselves begin to unfold like warm steam rising from an ancient cup. Egypt's herbal guardians, the sun had long set over the ancient Nile, and the river moved like a dark ribbon beneath a quiet winter sky. Even here, in a land defined by heat and golden dunes, the colder months carried their own gentle challenges. Nights grew crisp, winds carried a sharpness from the north, and the people of Egypt felt winter not through falling snow, but through the dryness in their breath, the tightening of the chest, and the subtle ache that settled into their bones. It was during these months that Egypt's healers, the priest-physicians of temples, and the wise practitioners of village households, stepped into their quiet but vital roles. Within their hands rested the herbal guardians of the season. Mixtures, balms, infusions, and poultices, crafted through generations of observation and devotion. Let us enter one such sanctuary, lit by tall flickering torches, whose glow dances across carved stone walls. Here, scrolls lie open upon smooth wooden tables, weighed down by polished stones, each scroll a living memory of remedies passed from healer to healer. The air is thick with scents, sweet honey, crushed herbs, warm oils, and as we breathe it in, we begin to understand the depth of their knowledge. Egyptian healers believed in a simple truth. Winter sickness was not merely a force to endure, but a call to restore balance within the body. Their remedies reflected this belief, crafted with intention, with poetry, and with the wisdom of an ancient land. Near the center of this sanctuary, a healer prepares an infusion for a young villager whose breath rattles softly as he inhales the chilled night air. She begins with honey, thick, golden, and sacred, a gift from bees whom Egyptians revered as servants of the sun god Ra. Honey was more than sweetness. It was medicine. They used it to soothe sore throats, soften inflammation, and draw healing into the body. Mixed with warm water and herbs, it became a protective balm against the winter wind. Beside her sits a shallow stone mortar. She reaches for a dry bundle of leaves, soft and pale, and crushes them gently. The fragrance rises immediately, sharp yet soothing, a scent reminiscent of eucalyptus-like plants that grew along the Nile's edges and were traded through long caravan routes. These herbs opened the chest, eased breathing, and brought warmth into the colder spaces of the body. The healer's movements are slow, deliberate, each stroke of the pestle releasing the plant's hidden spirit. As she works, another healer enters, carrying a small clay jar filled with a resin that glimmers amber in the torchlight. This is frankincense, a resin treasured for both ritual and remedy. When burned, its smoke was believed to carry prayers upward. Yet it also served a gentler purpose, clearing the air, calming the mind, and soothing the breath. In the colder months, Egyptian healers often burned this resin in sick rooms, allowing its aroma to ease discomfort and bring warmth to the lungs. Nearby, on another table, lay bundles of garlic, their papery skins rustling faintly in the cool night air. Garlic was one of Egypt's most powerful remedies. They believed it strengthened the body, purged impurities, and offered protection not just from illness but from spiritual imbalance. In winter seasons, when coughs and chills spread across villages, garlic found its way into warm broths, crushed pastes, and healing tonics. Farmers, laborers, and even soldiers carried it as a shield against seasonal weakness. Observe now another scene, softer and more intimate. A small village home beneath the stars. A mother tends her child, whose voice has grown hoarse from the dryness of winter air. She heats water over the household clay hearth, letting steam curl upward like the breath of a gentle spirit. Into this water she places herbs. Her mother once taught her to gather marshmallow root, sweet rush, and desert mint. Tisi plants, humble and unassuming, were known for generations to calm irritated throats and restore ease to weary lungs. As the steam fills the air, she lifts the pot and carries it beside her child, inviting them to breathe deeply. The warmth opens tightness. The herbs soothe. The mother's hand rests softly upon the child's back, and in that moment, the ancient world feels tender and familiar, a reminder that across centuries, the essence of care has never changed. Egyptian winter remedies extended beyond herbs and infusions. Oils, too, held a sacred place in their healing traditions. The oil of castor seeds, pressed carefully and warmed gently, was used to massage aching joints weakened by cold nights. Sesame oil, fragrant and golden, was applied to the chest and throat, carrying with it the warmth of the sun. These oils were not merely medicinal. They were believed to draw life back into the body, restoring harmony with each slow, circular motion of the healer's hand. There were poultices of crushed plants and clays, laid upon the chest to draw out heaviness. There were warming compresses created from cloth, dipped in herbal infusions. There were amulets filled with powdered herbs, worn close to the heart not simply for spiritual protection, but because the fragrance calmed the breath and reassured the mind. Egyptian healing was not only physical, it embraced the emotional, the spiritual, and the symbolic. Even the environment itself was part of their medicine. Healers advised families to sleep slightly elevated to ease breathing, to close gaps in the home where cold winds slipped through, to rest near warm lamps or burning coals wrapped safely in clay vessels. In temple wards, rooms were arranged to capture the gentle warmth of the morning sun, believed to strengthen the body's inner fire. This was their winter wisdom, a tapestry woven from observation, from experience, and from the loving desire to protect one another. And so, as winter settled softly over the Nile Valley, Egyptian healers stood as guardians of the season. They did not fear the chill. They met it with gentleness and knowledge, with honeyed infusions, fragrant resins, warming oils, and rituals that blended heart with science. Their remedies were simple, yet profound. Their methods, humble, yet effective. And their devotion, like the eternal river that flowed through their land, carried life forward even in the coldest months. Tonight, as your breath slows and your thoughts drift toward the soft sands of dreams, remember these ancient guardians. The hands that crushed herbs by torchlight, the voices that soothed, the weary the hearts that stood strong against winter's quiet trials. For in their wisdom, we find not only history, but echoes of the care we still offer one another today. Scrolls of healing, papyrus secrets. The torches burned low in the temple of healing, their flames flickering like tired stars against walls carved with symbols older than memory. Outside, the winter wind brushed softly across the sand, cool enough to settle into the breath of those who lived near the Nile. But within the sanctuary, sheltered by stone and warmed by oil lamps, ancient knowledge waited patiently, Preservere on sheets of papyrus, rolled tight and guarded as treasure. These were the healing scrolls of Egypt, repositories of remedies whispered across centuries. Though their edges had browned and their fibers had grown delicate with age, the wisdom they carried remained as steady as the river itself. They were guides for winter's ailments, companions for healers, and lights for frightened families who sought comfort in the colder months. Tonight, dear traveler, we unroll one of these sacred scrolls and allow its secrets to breathe again. Imagine a healer standing beneath the soft glow of a clay lamp. Her fingers are steady as she lifts a roll of papyrus, bound with a strip of linen. She loosens the wrap, revealing rows of precise hieratic script inked by scribes long gone. Though the language is ancient, the intention is familiar. To ease pain, to restore breath, to guard life through winter's quiet trials. This scroll begins not with spells or mysticism, but with observation. When the night air dries the throat, when breath becomes tight, like the closing of a reed gate, warmth the body moisten the air, and soothe the spirit. These words form the foundation of Egyptian healing. They understood that winter, even in a land without snow, brought dryness that irritated the lungs, harsh winds that carried dust, and nights cool enough to weaken the body's defenses. So their remedies began with restoring what winter stole: moisture, warmth, and calm. Turn the papyrus a little further, and you will find recipes. Gentle mixtures crafted from herbs gathered along the riverbanks, or traded across deserts. One such remedy calls for honey blended with a heated broth of marshmallow root, its softness meant to coat the throat like a protective veil. Another passage describes a steam mixture of crushed leaves, poured into hot water, then breathed slowly beneath a cloth to open the chest. These treatments were simple, but they were precise, born from centuries of trial and careful listening to the body's response. Written beside some remedies are small notes, perhaps added by later healers. For the child whose voice grows hoarse, one line reads, another for the elder whose breath becomes heavy at dawn. These notes are tender echoes of a world where healing was personal, a craft shaped by the faces and lives of those who depended upon it. Continue unrolling the scroll, and you reach a recipe both practical and poetic. It instructs the healer to combine honey, ground herbs, and the sap of certain plants into a small, fragrant resin ball. This resin is to be burned gently in a clay dish, filling the air with calming smoke. To modern eyes, such smoke may seem ritualistic, but to the Egyptians it had purpose. It purified the space, soothed the breath, and relieved the tightness caused by winter's dry winds. The scroll also speaks of garlic with profound respect. It calls it the protector, noting that its strength warms the blood and clears the pathways of breath. Crushed with oil and applied to the chest, or mixed into warm broth, garlic became a guardian against seasonal weakness. Its presence on the scroll reflects not superstition, but observation. A keen awareness of its properties and its ability to strengthen the body during winter. Farther along, another entry describes a remedy involving heated stones wrapped in linen. Tissa stones placed gently upon the chest or back were believed to draw warmth into the lungs and relax the muscles strained by coughing. The stones were not too hot. Healers were instructed to test them against their own skin before use, a detail that reveals their care and attentiveness. Some remedies focused not on the body alone, but on the environment. The scroll advises closing the home to winter winds, heating water in bowls to moisturize dry air, and keeping sick individuals near warm lamps or clay vessels filled with embers. These instructions feel surprisingly modern, echoing the practices still used in homes today. Yet the scroll's wisdom extends beyond physical remedies. Between sections of herbal recipes, one finds passages dedicated to the healing of the spirit, the part of illness invisible to the eye, but deeply felt in the heart. There are times, the scroll reads, when the sickness rests not in the flesh, but in the worry that weakens it. Tosotates. The healer is told to whisper calming words, to place a hand upon the patient's brow, and to burn a small amount of sweet resin as a reminder that warmth remains even in the coldest season. This intertwining of physical and emotional care reveals an insight far ahead of its time, that healing is most complete when body and spirit are tended together. Unrolling the papyrus further, you discover a section dedicated to diagnosis. It encourages healers to listen to the patient's breathing, observe the color of the tongue, Note the moisture of the skin and feel the warmth of the hands. These observations, it states, will guide the remedy better than any guess or charm. Such passages dispel the notion that ancient medicine was blind or unthinking. It was thoughtful, observant, and rooted in the belief that the body reveals its needs when watched with attentive eyes. Toward the end of the scroll, nearly hidden between folds, lies a final reflection. Nature gives all that is needed. The healer's task is to recognize and guide. Simple words, yet profound. They echo across time, reminding us that healing in the ancient world was not a matter of magic, but of relationship between healer and patient, between human and herb, between season and survival. As the healer gently rolls the papyrus closed, the sanctuary once again grows quiet. The torchlight softens, the smell of herbs lingers, and winter presses softly against the temple walls. But inside, the wisdom of thousands of years remains safe, ready to be unfolded whenever illness touches another life. Tonight, as you settle deeper into rest, imagine these scrolls still resting in the hush of ancient rooms. Imagine the hands that wrote them, the lives they comforted, and the resilience they preserved. Their knowledge survived not because it was mystical, but because it worked, crafted by generations who listened to winter, understood its challenges, and responded with gentleness, patience, and skill. And so, with these ancient secrets cradled softly in our thoughts, we step toward the next chapter of our journey, where the glowing kitchens of Rome await us with warmth, spices, and the promise of healing through food. Rome's warming kitchen of Remedies winter settled differently upon Rome. It did not fall with the heavy snows of northern lands, nor drift like the cold desert winds of Egypt. Instead, it arrived quietly, clouds gathering over tiled rooftops, cool breezes brushing through narrow streets, and a distinct, unmistakable chill seeping into the stone walls of ancient homes. For Romans, winter was not a harsh enemy but a steady visitor, one they had learned to greet with warmth, nourishment, and knowledge passed from grandmother to grandson, from healer to apprentice. The heart of Roman winter healing was not found in temples or scroll-lined chambers, but in kitchens warm, fragrant sanctuaries where remedies simmered slowly, guided by the wisdom of generations. Tonight, dear traveler, we step into one such kitchen, lit by the glow of an oil lamp and the gentle crackle of a small hearth. A clay pot rests above a low flame. Steam rises from it in slow, rolling waves, carrying the scents of herbs, broth, and spices into the cool air. The woman tending it wears a simple woolen shawl, wrapped around her shoulders against the winter breeze that slips through the cracks of the old family villa. To her, this kitchen is not just a place to prepare meals. It is her healing chamber, her sanctuary, her way of guiding her household through the colder months. Roman healers believed deeply in the power of food to restore the body. Diet was their first medicine, and kitchens their pharmacies. At the base of many recipes was broth, rich and warm, made by simmering bones, vegetables, and herbs for hours. This broth was believed to strengthen those weakened by seasonal chills. Into it, they would often add garlic, the same revered plant used by Egyptians, which they called the protector of the body. Its warming qualities, sharp aroma, and unmistakable flavor made it a favorite in winter cuisine. Tonight, the woman stirs her broth with a wooden ladle, watching the thin slices of garlic drift slowly beneath the surface. She adds leeks next, long, slender, gentle on the stomach. Romans loved leeks, believing they purified the body and calmed the breath. Then she sprinkles in a handful of barley, a grain that nourished the poor and elite alike, offering strength to recover from winter ailments. As she stirs, the kitchen fills with a fragrance both earthy and comforting. But Rome's herbal pantry extended far beyond garlic and leeks. Their empire stretched across continents, and with it came spices carried by merchants from distant lands. These spices were not merely luxuries, they became tools for healing winter sickness. Cinnamon, warm and sweet, was used to stimulate the body's inner heat. Cloves, sharp and soothing, eased sore throats. Black pepper, precious and powerful, helped clear the sinuses. And ginger, rare but beloved, was praised for its warming nature, helping to combat the chill of cold months. These spices, though exotic to Rome, became part of their winter defense. When the air grew heavy and lungs tightened, Romans would steep a mixture of warm wine, honey, and spices, an ancient version of mulled wine, and sip it slowly to open the chest and soothe the throat. Let us linger in this kitchen a little longer. On the wooden counter lies a small clay bowl filled with warm olive oil infused with rosemary. The woman dips her fingers into it and massages it gently over her child's chest. Romans believed rosemary strengthened the spirit and comforted the body. Its scent, pine-like, clean, invigorating, helps relax the breath, its warmth easing winter's grip. Meanwhile, her husband prepares a simple remedy at the other end of the room. He slices cabbage leaves, sprinkles them with salt, and begins to press them firmly. This process will create fermented cabbage, a food Romans treasured for its ability to fortify the gut, which they believed played a central role in resisting seasonal sickness. Though they lacked the scientific knowledge of bacteria, they understood that fermented foods made them stronger, healthier, more resilient. In the corner of the kitchen sits a jar of oxymel, a mixture of honey and vinegar. Romans used it to soothe coughs and sore throats, believing it cleared the lungs of winter's heaviness. A spoonful taken before bed helped sleep come more easily, especially when breath felt tight. Beyond private homes, public healers also relied heavily on food in winter treatments. They often prescribed warm porridges, seasoned broths, and herbal soups tailored to specific symptoms. A Roman physician might recommend a broth of lentils and bay leaves for persistent coughs, or a gruel of spelt and honey to restore strength after fever. Yet Roman winter healing went beyond recipes. It also involved the gentle shaping of daily habits. Romans believed in baths not only for cleanliness, but for health. Even in winter, public bathhouses remained open, their warm pools offering relief to those burdened by seasonal aches. After bathing, they would wrap themselves in woolen garments and drink warm herbal teas, keeping the body's heat close and steady. They also understood the importance of rest. A Roman poet once wrote, "In winter, the wise man slows his steps, for even his son grows weary. To the Romans, winter was a season for gentleness, not force." They encouraged afternoon naps, quiet evenings, and time spent indoors near the hearth. Physical exertion was reduced, and heavy meals were avoided in favor of warm, nourishing foods that supported the body's natural healing. But perhaps the most charming aspect of Roman winter medicine was the belief that comfort itself was healing, found in warm blankets, soft light, gentle conversation, and shared meals. They knew, instinctively, that healing required not only food, but also atmosphere. Return now to the kitchen where our chapter began. The pot of broth is ready. The family gathers around the small wooden table, their faces illuminated by the warm glow of the lamp. The steam rises in swirling patterns, carrying with it the combined wisdom of centuries, warmth, nourishment, and the belief that winter illness can be softened through care. As they eat, they breathe in the comforting aroma of garlic, leeks, barley, and herbs, and, little by little, the chill of the season is pushed away. The kitchen becomes a shield against winter, a place where the warmth of food meets the warmth of family. Tonight, as you drift deeper into rest, imagine the quiet hum of ancient Roman kitchens, the bubbling of pots, the soft clatter of wooden ladles, the gentle whisper of steam escaping into cool air. Imagine the comfort the remedies brought, not only to the body but to the heart, reminding all who gathered that winter, though cold, could be met with warmth from within. And with this soft glow in mind, we journey onward to the next chapter, where heliherbs traverse borders and civilizations share their secrets across distant lands. The spice roots of immunity as winter wrapped its cool fingers around the ancient world. Nations from distant corners of the earth found themselves united by a single, enduring truth. Nature provides remedies in every form: roots, leaves, resins, barks, and berries. Yet these remedies did not remain confined to the lands where they first grew. Traveled. They journeyed across deserts and mountains, carried by merchants, healers, wanderers, and storytellers. And along these great trade routes, a quiet exchange unfolded, one that shaped the winter survival of countless civilizations. Tonight, dear traveler, we walk these spice routes, where healing plants crossed borders and became the shared guardians of humanity. The roads stretch far, winding through sun-baked deserts, over rolling seas, and across bustling marketplaces. But our journey begins at dawn, as the first pale rays touch a caravan inching slowly along a sandy trail. Camels sway under the weight of woven baskets, each basket filled with precious cargo. Ginger wrapped in cloth, dried peppercorns locked in clay jars, turmeric roots tied in bundles, and fragrant cinnamon bark curled like sleeping scrolls. To the merchants, these items meant fortune. To healers, they meant life. Imagine standing in a bustling port along the Mediterranean. Ships from Arabia, India, and Africa dock side by side, their wooden hulls creaking softly as workers unload crates. The air is alive with scents sharp, sweet, floral, earthy. It is as if the world itself has gathered its aromas into one place. Within the crowd moves a Roman physician, his woolen cloak pulled tight against winter's breeze. He approaches a trader offering ginger, a root known for its warming nature. Though rare, ginger had earned its reputation across continents. When brewed into tea or added to broths, it helped invigorate the body, chase away chill, and awaken sluggish winter energy. Roman healers treasured it, not only for its flavor but for its quiet strength. Nearby, a Greek herbalist examines small bags of black pepper. Pepper, though simple to modern minds, was once a luxury so prized that it was measured like gold. Greeks believed pepper warmed the inner fire, clearing the fog of cold season lethargy. Mixed into warm wine or sprinkled onto broth, pepper helped open the breath and stimulate the body's natural defenses. But our journey does not linger only in Greece and Rome. The spice routes weave much farther. Let us drift eastward now, carried by a gentle desert wind toward the great lands of India, a place where winter too had its own rituals of wellness. In an ancient courtyard lined with carved stone pillars, a healer prepares a warming tonic known for centuries. She combines ginger, turmeric, and honey into a smooth paste, stirring it until it glows like morning light. Turmeric, vibrant and golden, was believed to quiet inflammation, soothe the throat, and bring strength back into weary limbs. This mixture, simple yet powerful, was shared with travelers journeying northward, spreading its warmth from kingdom to kingdom. As the spice roots expanded, so did the knowledge they carried. Traders learned from healers, and healers learned from traders. A merchant from Arabia might teach a Roman physician about the soothing properties of cardamom. A Greek herbalist might share with an Egyptian scribe the benefits of thyme for winter weakness. Information flowed like a gentle stream, blending ideas, traditions, and remedies. Travel west again, across seas stirred by cool seasonal winds, and arrive at a small Celtic village wrapped in mist. Here, winter was harsh and long, and the people relied on hardy wild herbs. But every so often, traders from far-off lands brought spices, unfamiliar yet captivating. Cinnamon, with its sweet warmth, became a treasured addition to winter brews. Cloves, dark and aromatic, were pressed into warm drinks to soothe sore throats. These spices were rare gift tokens of the wider world, whispering its secrets into small northern hearths. Even in the frost-touched mountains of Central Asia, winter healing drew from mixtures crafted by travelers. Nomads moving from one region to another carried pouches of dried ginger and pepper, using them to heat the body after long rides through icy winds. Their remedies were simple, yet effective. Boiling water poured over crushed roots, inhaled slowly before being sipped. The beauty of these traveling remedies is not merely their medicinal value, but their universality. They belonged to everyone, yet to no one. They were shaped by geography, yet transcended borders. Wherever winter crept, these spices followed, warming the body, comforting the breath, soothing the spirit. Picture now a small Roman household preparing for a cold night. The family gathers around a low wooden table. The mother places a steaming clay cup before her child. Inside is a mix of honey, warm water, ginger scraped from a tiny root saved carefully for months, and a pinch of pepper. As the child sips it, the winter tension in their chest begins to soften. This drink, though Roman in its moment, carries flavors from lands thousands of miles away, a reminder of how interconnected the ancient world truly was. In distant Egypt, a healer receiving a caravan of spices might crush cinnamon into a fine powder and mix it with honey to soothe winter coughs. The combination of sweet and warm was believed to awaken the breath. Remedies, enriched by distant lands, blended seamlessly with her local herbs, creating mixtures both familiar and foreign. In a quiet Greek home, A man suffering from seasonal weakness sits near a brazier. His wife prepares a warm drink of cloves, bay leaves, and lemon fruits brought from warm coastal regions. Together, these ingredients clear his sinuses, ease his breath, and bring comfort to his winter-weary body. And across countless other lands, variations of these same remedies appeared. Ginger to warm, pepper to invigorate, cinnamon to soothe, turmeric to restore, cloves to calm, cardamom to comfort. The ingredients changed subtly between regions, but the intention was always the same: to help the body endure winter with strength and grace. These spice roots did far more than transport flavors. They carried hope across continents. They wove together the knowledge of empires, the instincts of rural healers, the observations of thinkers, and the stories of travelers. Every spice jar that arrived in a new land brought with it not just medicine, but connection, a reminder that across the world, people faced winter together, sharing what they had learned in the quiet struggle against seasonal illness. As you rest your head, imagine the warm glow of ancient lamps, illuminating jars of spices, each one a tiny universe of healing. Imagine the gentle clink of clay pots, the soft rustling of herbs, the murmur of healers whispering instructions, and the calm, steady breath of families finding comfort in remedies that traveled so far to reach them. The spice roots of immunity were more than trade. They were the arteries through which winter wisdom flowed. And now, dear traveler, with this warmth carried in our hearts, we step toward the next chapter, where healing becomes not just about ingredients, but about the places where people gathered, restored, and found balance in the embrace of community. Greece and the art of holistic winter care. Winter arrived gently in ancient Greece, draping its cool breath across olive groves, marble temples, and hillside homes. It was not the harsh winter of northern kingdoms, nor the subtle chill of desert nights. It carried its own balanced rhythm, its own quiet temperament. And because the Greeks saw the world through the lens of harmony, they approached winter illness not as a single force to be fought, but as a disruption in the delicate balance between body, mind, and environment. For them, true healing was never just a mixture of herbs or a warming drink. It was a way of living. Tonight, dear traveler, let us step into this world of balance where winter wellness flowed, not from fear, but from philosophy. Imagine a small Greek town nestled beside rolling hills. The morning is crisp, the sea's breath drifting inland with a cool whisper. Streets paved with smooth stone reflect the pale light of a winter sun, and from the courtyards rise the gentle sounds of daily life. Footsteps, laughter, voices low and calm. Among the people walks a physician trained in the traditions of whose teachings transformed healing into a thoughtful, holistic art. This physician carries no heavy bags of tools, only a small pouch of herbs and a mind sharpened by observation. For he believes, as many Greeks did, that illness arises when the body's natural balance is disturbed. Winter, with its coldness and stillness, simply tips this balance more easily. Let us follow him now into his first visit of the day. A family greets him at their home, a modest dwelling with whitewashed walls and a small hearth glowing softly in the corner. A child inside has grown weary, their breath thin from the cold air. The physician does not begin by offering a remedy. Instead, he observes. He listens to the child's breath. He places a gentle hand upon their forehead. He studies the color in their cheeks, their posture, their quietness. Then, with a warm smile, he speaks to the family not of disease, but of balance. Warmth, he says softly, must return to the body, not only in food, but in movement, in breath, in spirit. Such was the Greek wahilan that extended beyond ingredients. Before tending to the child's symptoms, he instructs the mother to open the windows briefly to allow fresh air to flow through the home. Greeks believed deeply in the importance of pneuma, the breath of life. Stagnant air, they observed, worsened winter illness. Fresh air revitalized. This simple act often came before teas or tonics. Once the room is refreshed, he encourages gentle movement. A still body grows cold, he explains. The Greeks practiced light exercise even in winter, slow stretching, walking. Simple forms of movement meant to keep the inner fire alive. Even the elderly performed small motions to keep the breath open and the body agile. Now, as the household warms, he prepares a soothing mixture. He extracts dried thyme from his pouch, its aroma sharp and comforting. Thyme, beloved by Greek healers, was believed to clear the lungs and awaken vitality. He crushes it gently and pours warm water over it, creating a fragrant tea. Into the mixture, he adds a drizzle of honey nut, only to soften the throat, but to calm the spirit. Honey, to the Greeks, carried a golden energy associated with the gods themselves. As the child sips the warm tea, relief begins to bloom across their face. But the physician's work does not end here. He recommends that the family take the child to the public baths the following morning, for the Greeks believed deeply in bathing as medicine. The lautron, or bathhouse, was a place where body and mind were equally renewed. Warm water soothed muscles strained by coughing. Steam opened lungs tightened by cold air. Rest in these peaceful spaces brought calm to the nervous mind. Let us step into one of these bathhouses now. The air inside is warm and slightly misty. Visitors move slowly, speaking in soft voices so as not to disturb one another's peace. Pools of varying temperatures invite bathers into gentle cycles of warmth and coolness, always in moderation, always in respect to the body's needs. A small pool emits a gentle steam scented with eucalyptus-like. Herbs hung from the ceiling. People breathe deeply, allowing the warm vapors to clear their winter-heavy lungs. For the Greeks, this was not indulgence. It was wellness, a harmony of body temperature, breath, and inner calm. After the bath, families would often return home to meals crafted for winter balance. Greek cuisine during this season favored warm soups, olive oil infused with herbs, soft grains like barley, and citrus fruits whose brightness cut through the lethargy of cold months. Garlic and onion, beloved by healers, found their way into many dishes, offering strength and resilience. But as always, Greek healing flowed into the emotional and spiritual realms. One might find a philosopher seated near a brazier, discussing how winter affects not just the body, but the mind. Shorter days could bring heaviness of heart. Colder air might dull one's spirits. Greeks addressed this through community gatherings, shared meals, songs, quiet walks, gentle conversation. They believed human connection was as vital to winter health as any remedy. In temples dedicated to Asclepius, the god of healing, people sought not only cures, but guidance. They entered the cool halls with offerings of flowers or small clay figurines representing the part of the body in need of care. The priests did not simply prescribe herbs, they encouraged rest, dreams, reflection, and the healing power of stillness. Dream incubation, a fascinating Greek practice, invited the ill to sleep within temple chambers where gentle rituals encouraged vivid, meaningful dreams. Many believed these dreams brought clarity, revealing emotional burdens or fears contributing to illness. Whether symbolic or practical, these experiences brought comfort, reducing the anxiety that often makes winter ailments heavier. Greeks understood something timeless. Healing begins in the mind, travels through the breath, and settles in the body. Let us now imagine a quiet evening in a Greek village. The sun dips beyond the hills, leaving a rosy glow over white stone homes. A family gathers by their hearth, sipping herbal teas warmed with honey and lemon. They speak softly of their day. Outside, the air grows cool, but inside, warmth fills every corner. A sense of balance settles over them, a balance crafted not from single remedies, but from a harmonious approach to winter living. And so, as winter unfolds across Greece, people continue to practice the art of holistic care. They breathe fresh air, they move gently, they bathe in warmth, they eat with intention, they rest deeply, they nurture the spirit. Their approach shows us that winter illness was never faced alone or with fear. It was a reminder to return to harmony, to listen to the body's whispers and respond with kindness. Tonight, as your eyes grow heavy, imagine walking through a Greek courtyard at dusk. Lanterns sway softly in the cool wind. The scent of thyme drifts through the air. A distant sound of laughter warms the surroundings. And you, dear traveler, feel a sense of ease. The same ease the ancient Greeks sought in their timeless pursuit of balance. With this peace, let us drift onward to our next chapter, where healing takes on a more sacred shape, rituals of warmth and communal care across distant civilizations. Rituals of warmth across the world. Winter touches every land differently. In some places it whispers, in others it roars. Yet throughout the ancient world, civilizations across vast distances discovered a powerful truth. Healing does not belong to the physician alone. It belongs to the community, to the earth, and to the rituals that bring warmth to the body and comfort to the spirit. Tonight, dear traveler, we journey across continents to Mesoamerican villages, northern tribes, and distant island cultures where winter wellness emerged not from scrolls or kitchens, but from ceremonies, shared spaces, and ancient traditions woven with meaning. Let us begin where the air is crisp and fragrant with pine, in a Mesoamerican village nestled between mountains. The sun has set, and a soft twilight blankets the land. The villagers gather near a dome-shaped structure built from stone and covered in hides. This is the Temescola traditional sweat lodge used for purification, healing, and spiritual renewal that transcended generations long before written history. Winter, with its cold winds and tightening breath, made these lodges especially sacred. A healer stands at the entrance, wearing a mantle decorated with patterns representing wind and fire symbols of balance. She invites those weakened by winter sickness to enter this warm sanctuary. Inside, the air is darkness and heat. Smooth stones heated in an outdoor fire are placed gently in the center. When water infused with herbs is poured upon them, they release a fragrant steam that fills every corner of the lodge. Breath slows, muscles soften, winter's grip loosens. In this dim space, people sit together in a circle. Illness is not faced alone. It is shared, witnessed, and eased through community. The healer chants softly, her voice rising and falling like a slow river. These chants were believed to guide the spirit back into harmony, reminding the body that it is held in the warmth of others. Outside, cold winds continue to drift across the land, but inside the Temesco, the world is warm and still, protected by ritual and reverence. As participants breathe the herb-filled steam, their lungs clear, their spirits settle, and the heaviness of winter begins to melt away. Now, let us drift northward across forests and rivers, where tribes in colder climates faced winters that were long and unforgiving. Their rituals, too, were shaped by warm fire, was not merely a source of heat, but a living presence. Picture a large wooden hole, its tall walls built from sturdy logs. A fire burns at its center, its flames dancing and crackling. People gather close, wrapped in furs, sharing the warmth that rises into the rafters. The healer of the tribe, often a shaman, wears a cloak adorned with feathers, bones, or beads, representing the forces of nature. He sits near the fire, crushing dried plants between stones. These plants are not chosen at random. They have been studied through generations. Some ease coughs, others open tight airways, others calm uneasy minds weary from the long nights. The shaman adds these herbs to the fire, allowing their smoke to drift upward. But this is no ordinary smoke. It is believed to carry healing energy, borne by the fire's spirit to those who sit nearby. People inhale deeply, letting the warmth soothe their chests, the scent ease their tension. Then begins the rhythmic beating of a drum, slow, steady, like the heartbeat of winter itself. The drum is not a performance, its vibrations were believed to align the inner rhythms of the body. The combination of warmth, scent, and sound created a deeply calming state, easing sickness not only of the flesh, but of the spirit. Some in the tribe close their eyes, letting the drum's pulse guide them inward. Others lean against one another, sharing heat and quiet comfort. In this communal hall, winter was no longer a solitary struggle. It was a season met, together with fire, breath, and song. Let us now cross vast oceans to reach island cultures where winter took on gentler forms, but was still marked by storms and cool winds that stirred illness. Here, too, rituals of warmth shaped healing. Imagine a wooden hut built along the shoreline, its thatched roof rustling softly in the winter breeze. Inside, elders prepare a ritual bath, filling a large wooden basin with warm water infused with cinnamon-like bark, wild mint, and local flowers whose scents calmed the nervous mind. These baths were used for both physical cleansing and spiritual renewal. A young healer invites the sick to soak in the fragrant warmth. As they do, she sings ancient melodies, songs passed down by her ancestors believed to awaken the healing forces of nature. The warm water relaxes muscles stiffened by cold winds, while the herbs cleanse, and comfort. Later on the beach, people join together in a circle near a large fire. They speak softly about their experiences, giving space for emotional release. For them, winter healing was not merely physical. It was a restoration of harmony between self, community, and environment. These rituals may feel far from modern medicine, yet they hold truths recognized even today. Warmth opens the lungs. Steam eases congestion. Community reduces fear and strengthens resilience. Shared spaces calm the spirit, and meaningful ritual, whatever its form, brings comfort to the weary. Now, let us reflect on one more scene, tucked far away in the mountain valleys of Asia. A village sits beneath snow-dusted peaks. Inside a wooden home, a family gathers around a pot of gently steaming herbs. The healer, a quiet elder with hair silver as frost lifts a bundle of juniper branches. He places them into the fire, their aroma swirling into the room. The villagers inhale deeply, believing the smoke cleanses stale winter air and helps the body release trapped coldness. While the juniper burns, the healer traces symbols in the air, inviting the spirit of warmth to re-enter the home. At the same time, family members rub warmed oils infused with mountain herbs onto one another's backs. The massage is slow, circular, nurturing. Winter illness, they believed, sometimes lingered because the body felt alone. Touch reminded it that it was part of something larger. Across all these lands, rituals varied in form but shared the same purpose: to create warmth, connection, and renewal during winter's quiet challenge. Each ritual tells a story of how deeply ancient people understood healing. That the body responds to care beyond medicines. That the mind influences breath as strongly as the cold air does. That illness softens when surrounded by warmth of fire, of herbs, of voice, of community. And so, dear traveler, as you sink deeper into the calm of night, imagine yourself seated in one of these ancient spaces. A warm lodge filled with herbal steam, a firelit hall echoing with soft drumming, a seaside hut perfumed with fragrant baths. Feel the warmth drift through youth, same warmth our ancestors sought to keep winter's shadows away. With this gentle comfort surrounding us, we step forward to the next chapter, where winter healing takes a more structured form through the early practices of quarantine and sanitation. Isolation, ancient-style winter in the ancient world, brought more than cold air and dimming light. It carried whispers of illness, moving quietly from household to household, drifting like an unseen guest through narrow streets, shared wells, village courtyards, and bustling marketplaces, while herbs, rituals, and warm kitchens played their role. There were moments when an entire community turned its attention to prevention, to gently protecting the many by caring thoughtfully for the few. In these moments, ancient civilizations discovered the wisdom of separation, long before the word quarantine was ever spoken. Let us begin our journey in a peaceful village along the Nile. The winds are cool tonight, carrying a faint dust that irritates the throat. A healer walks slowly through the village, her lantern glowing softly against the dusk. She pauses before a modest home where a young man lies ill with a persistent winter cough. She listens, observes, and nods with quiet understanding. She knows this illness travels easily, especially in the colder months when families gather close indoors. So she offers a gentle plan, not of fear, but of protection. A small hut, woven from reeds and clay, stands near the edge of the village. It is warm, with thick blankets and jars of honeyed tonic prepared earlier. This place is not a prison nor a place of shame, but a sanctuary, a resting space where the sick can be cared for while the village continues its life undisturbed. The young man is brought here with kindness. His family visits him with offerings of warm food, herbs, and companionship, but always with care. The healer watches over him, checking his breath each morning, adjusting his remedies as needed, and within days, his symptoms soften. The illness does not spread to others, and winter continues its quiet pace. This gentle form of isolation, practiced across centuries and continents, reveals something deeply human, where fear could have divided, compassion created balance. Let us travel now to ancient Greece, where philosophy shaped not only ideas, but public health. In a small town near the sea, winter has brought a mild sickness upon several fishermen. They return home with aching limbs, chilled breath, and low spirits. Instead of gathering in crowded homes as they usually do after their journeys, the town elder encourages a different practice. The fishermen rest together in a separate dwelling, a simple stone structure near the edge of the coast, warmed by a central brazier. The Greeks understood that illness often spread through close quarters. By gathering the sick in a dedicated healing space, they preserved the well-being of families in the town. Healers visit them daily, bringing thyme infusions, warm compresses, and food rich with olive oil and barley. Friends come too, offering conversation through open windows, sharing news from the village without entering the room. The fishermen do not feel abandoned. They feel protected, supported, and connected in ways that maintain dignity and care. In Greek temples dedicated to Asclepius, this practice becomes even clearer. Pilgrims who arrived ill were often separated from the general worshippers. They slept in designated chambers, tended by priests who observed their dreams and symptoms. This space allowed healing while preventing sickness from spreading through the temple grounds. Such practices reflect a Greek commitment to harmony not only within the body but within the community. Isolation was not rejection, it was balance. Now let us cross the seas to Rome, where winter's illnesses were treated with a pragmatic, disciplined approach. Roman cities were crowded and lively, especially during colder months when people spent more time indoors. The Romans, keen observers of sanitation, understood that certain illnesses followed patterns of proximity, and so they developed their own methods of separation. Small healing rooms, often within family homes or public insulae, served as temporary resting places. When someone showed signs of winter sickness, coughing, shivering, or weakness, they were gently encouraged to remain in these rooms until their symptoms eased. Household members would deliver food, water, and herbal steam bowls, but would avoid long periods of close contact. In military camps, where sickness could spread with dangerous speed, soldiers showing early signs of winter illness were relocated to separate tents near the camp's perimeter. Warm blankets, garlic-infused soups, and honeyed water were brought to them by appointed attendants. Roman physicians checked them daily, ensuring their recovery while protecting the health of the broader legion. The discipline worked. Records show that winter illnesses in well-run camps were often contained, reflecting early forms of structured quarantine. But dear traveler, let us wander farther to Mesoamerican civilizations, where communal life was deeply ingrained. In villages shaded by tall trees, people lived closely, sharing food, tools, and spaces. When a winter sickness appeared, leaders designated small huts on the outskirts of the village where the ill could rest. These huts were tended by healers who burned aromatic herbs inside, believing the smoke protected both patient and visitor. Unlike modern isolation, these ancient huts were not lonely places. Villagers brought offerings of food, blankets, stories, and songs. The huts became places of healing, not just physically, but emotionally. People recovered knowing their community cared for them, even from a distance. Similarly, in northern tribal communities where winter was fierce, the sick were cared for in warm lodges, slightly apart from the communal hall. Heated stones wrapped in fur-lined cloth were brought to them. Steam bowls, infused with cedar or juniper, filled the air. Visitors kept their distance but offered words of comfort through the open flaps. Isolation was an act of respect, a way to preserve the tribe's strength through long winters. Across these ancient worlds, early quarantine was never harsh or clinical. It was rooted in compassion, observation, and the understanding that health belonged to all. Imagine now the universal scene that unfolded again and again. Across millennia, a mother places a warm blanket around her coughing child in a quiet room away from others. A healer sits at the threshold, offering fresh herbs and a calming voice. A community waits with patience, honoring the need for separation while surrounding the sick with care. The hush of winter surrounds them. Snow falls, or winds blow, or desert nights cool the earth. But inside these gentle spaces, hope grows. Isolation was not feared. It was embraced as a method of preserving life, a delicate balance between closeness and caution. As you close your eyes now, imagine these quiet huts, rooms, and lodges across ancient landscapes. Their fires glow softly. Their air holds the scent of herbs. Their walls echo with soft footsteps, whispered blessings, and the calm assurance that healing is near. The ancient world teaches us that separation can be tender, that distance can be loving, and that protecting one another often means giving space for rest, warmth, and recovery. And so, With winter's soft caution guiding us, we journey onward to a chapter where ancient hands crafted tools, techniques, and practical methods to face sickness head-on. Tools of early winter medicine. Winter in the ancient world often brought mild ailments, dry throats, tight chests, weary limbs, but there were times when illness grew more severe, when coughs deepened into dangerous congestion, when infections spread beneath the skin, or when fever stole the strength of even the bravest souls. Healers turned to their tools. These tools were simple by today's standards, yet they represented centuries of observation, ingenuity, and courage. Tonight, dear traveler, we walk into the quiet chambers where early medicine took shape, where winter sickness was met, not only with warm remedies, but with skilled hands and instruments crafted from bone, metal, and stone. Imagine a winter evening in ancient Egypt. The cool night wind drifts softly across the village rooftops, carrying the smell of the river. Inside a healer's home, a small oil lamp glows against the walls of a clay room. A young woman lies on a low bed, her breath quick and shallow. Her chest illness has worsened, and a heavy pressure rises beneath her ribs. Her family waits anxiously. The healer examines her with calm focus. He has seen this before, the buildup of fluid or infection beneath the skin, something that warm teas alone cannot ease. He reaches for a small bronze tool, a slender blade, simple but sharp, polished to reflect the lamp's warm light. This is not a moment of fear. It is a moment of trust. Egyptian healers, trained in the ancient wisdom of temple medicine, performed minor procedures with remarkable precision. They drained abscesses, released trapped fluids, and cleaned wounds that winter often worsened. Their bronze blades, obsidian shards, and small copper hooks were kept meticulously clean, washed in beer or wine and rinsed with herbal infusions known to reduce inflammation. The healer presses a warm cloth soaked in herbal water onto the woman's skin to soften it. He murmurs a calming prayer, not because he doubts his skill, but because he understands the spirit's role in healing. Then, with steady hands, he makes a tiny incision. The pressure releases. The woman's breath begins to ease. Her family exhales in gratitude. Even in ancient times, medicine walked hand in hand with compassion. Now, let us leave Egypt and travel across the sea to Greece, where early physicians studied the body with philosophical curiosity. The winter sun sinks low over whitewashed homes, and inside a simple healing room, a Greek physician prepares his tools. Laid neatly upon a linen cloth are small scalpels of sharpened iron, thin probes for examining wounds, cupping vessels carved from horn or clay, and cautery rods used to seal damaged tissue. Though these tools may seem primitive, the Greeks used them only with deep understanding and purpose. Tonight, a man suffering from severe winter congestion enters the physician's care. His chest is tight, his breathing labored, his energy drained. The healer decides to use a technique known for centuries, cupping. He warms a small clay cup over a flame, then places it gently upon the man's back. As the air inside cools, it creates a soft suction, drawing blood toward the surface. The Greeks believed this stimulated circulation and pulled out stagnation caused by winter's cold. Whether symbolic or physical, the technique brought relief, loosening tension and easing breath. Afterward, the healer rubs warmed olive oil infused with thyme across the man's back. The oil glides smoothly beneath his hands, carrying warmth into muscles strained by coughing. The man sees a deep, relieved breath that had not come easily in days. Such moments remind us that healing is often a tapestry of skill, intuition, and comfort. Now we journey to ancient Rome, where winter ailments among soldiers demanded practical solutions. In a Roman fortress perched on a hill, a medicus prepares his small chest of tools. Soldiers endure harsh winter conditions, cold rain, chilling winds, long marshes that strain their bodies. When sickness sets in, it can spread quickly through crowded barracks. One soldier lies in a tent, shivering with fever, a deep cough racking his chest. The medicus listens carefully and notices something troubling, a buildup of phlegm that the soldier cannot expel. He reaches for a slender metal instrument used to gently stimulate the throat and help clear the airway. He places a warm compress across the soldier's chest, encouraging the lungs to loosen, and prepares a mixture of honey, vinegar, and pepper to help break the congestion. But winter illnesses sometimes brought infections that required firmer intervention. Abscesses, for example, were common during cold months when circulation slowed. The medicus takes a heated metal tool, a cautery rod, and uses it to seal a small incision after draining an infection. The heat prevents further spreading. It is a painful moment, softened by calming words and the promise of relief. Roman healers, despite their limited tools, possessed remarkable skill and discipline. Their methods were not barbaric, as often imagined, but purposeful and informed by observation. Let us travel farther still, to northern tribes living in lands carved by frost and snow. Inside a warm lodge, lit by a central fire, the shaman prepares tools carved, not from metal, but from bone and sharpened stone. These tools, polished smooth by river water and time, were used for procedures passed through oral tradition. When winter brought swelling or infection, shamans used these tools to make small openings, allowing the illness to escape. They believed sickness could become trapped inside the body, and releasing it brought balance back to the patient. After such procedures, they applied poultices of pine resin, moss, and crushed herbs known for their cleansing properties. The lodge fills with the scent of cedar smoke. The patient, wrapped in warm furs, feels the tension leave their body. Outside, snow falls gently, muffling the world beyond. From desert to mountain to forest, early medicine took many forms, but its essence remained the same. Practical skill, shaped by necessity. Who said we'd care? And yet, dear traveler, the tools themselves were only part of ancient medical wisdom. Equally important was environmental control, the ways in which healers shaped the spaces around the sick. To ease winter suffering, let us step into a modest home in Mesopotamia. The healer arranges the room with intention, closing drafts with woven mats, lifting the patient's bed to ease breathing, placing warmed stones near the feet, lighting aromatic oil to moisten dry air. These acts may seem simple, but for the ill, they brought immense comfort. Ancient healers recognized that temperature, moisture, airflow, and light all influenced recovery. They adjusted these with the same seriousness they applied to their tools. Winter healing, in each civilization, was a blend of art and practicality. A steady incision, a warmed stone, a cup placed upon the skin, a cloth soaked in herbal water, a fire positioned so every act whispered the same message. You are safe. You are cared for. Let healing begin. As your breath softens tonight, imagine these ancient healing chambers, the quiet glow of lamps, the gentle clink of tools laid carefully aside, the soft voices of healers reassuring the weary. Winter illnesses were met with courage, ingenuity, and tenderness, proving that even the simplest tools can bring profound relief when guided by wise and compassionate hands. And so, dear traveler, we step gently into the next chapter, where the environment itself becomes part of winter medicine. Homes, hearths, and architecture shaped to warm and protect. The architecture of warmth winter, in every ancient land, brought a familiar challenge. How to keep the body warm, the air gentle, the home protective, and illness at bay, without modern insulation, heating systems, or sealed windows. Ancient civilizations turned to the wisdom of nature, craftsmanship, and observation. Their homes were not just structures, they were instruments of health, carefully shaped to shield families from cold air, dampness, and drafts that worsened seasonal sickness. Tonight, dear traveler, let us step into these ancient dwellings and feel how their walls, hearths, and pathways held the secrets of winter survival. Imagine first a small home along the banks of the Nile. The winter sun has set, leaving a faint chill drifting through the reeds. The home is humble, built of mud brick, its walls thick and cool to the touch. Yet as evening deepens, the family inside feels a warmth not born of fire alone, but of clever design. Egyptian builders understood that thick walls stored heat from the day and released it slowly through the night. Even in winter, when temperatures dropped, these walls acted as gentle guardians, ensuring that the cool air outside never rushed too quickly into the sleeping chambers. Narrow windows allowed fresh air to enter by day, yet kept harsh winds from sweeping through the home at night. Inside, mats woven from reeds lined the floor. Clay vessels filled with embers glow softly in the corners, radiating warmth upward. Families slept on raised platforms, allowing warm air to gather around them, while cooler drafts settled harmlessly below. In the absence of fireplaces, this thoughtful layering of environment kept winter illnesses from worsening. Now, let us journey northward to Greece, where homes were shaped with equal care. A Greek courtyard house, Eben, in winter, remained a place of balance. Its design embraced airflow, sunlight, and warmth. When illness touched a family, especially those suffering from winter chest ailments or fever, the architecture itself helped to restore harmony. The courtyard, open to the sky, allowed fresh air to circulate into surrounding rooms without exposing occupants to direct winter winds. Windows opened inward rather than outward, giving the family full control over ventilation. Healers instructed families to let sunlight enter the sick room during the warmest part of the day, for the Greeks believed sunlight itself held healing qualities. Its warmth eased shivers. Its brightness lifted weary spirits. In the evening, they closed shutters made of wood or woven reeds, sealing the home against the night air. Thick woolen curtains were hung over doorways to keep warmth inside. Bedrooms were often located on upper floors, where rising heat gathered. But most important of all was the hearth. A small fire in the center of the home was not only for cooking, it was the heart of winter medicine. Family members gathered near it, inhaling warm air that loosened congestion, sipping broth that simmered above the flames, and resting their bodies close enough to absorb its gentle heat. Many winter ailments soft simply because the home itself was arranged to support comfort, warmth, and airflow. Now let us step into a Roman villa, where architecture became a masterwork of climate control. Winter in Rome could be cold, especially in regions near the Alps. But Roman engineers, renowned for their innovation, designed homes that could warm entire rooms with remarkable efficiency. The most impressive example was the hypocaust, an early underfloor heating system. Imagine walking into a Roman bathhouse or wealthy home during winter. The floor beneath your feet is warm, not just from fire, but from controlled airflow beneath the stone tiles. Hot air produced from a furnace traveled through a network of brick pillars and hollow spaces, rising gently and warming the floors and walls. This radiant heat helped the sick recover more easily. Breathing warm air eased chest ailments. Resting on warmed floors soothed muscles stiffened by cold. Even simpler Roman homes used clever methods to stay warm. Thick wooden shutters sealed windows each night. Hearths were positioned centrally to radiate heat. Heavy curtains divided rooms to trap warmth. Oil lamps added gentle heat along with light. When illness struck, families moved the sick to the warmest part of the home, often near the hearth, or an interior room shielded from drafts. The architecture itself became a tool of healing, softening the harshness of winter air. Across the world, distant civilizations developed their own ways of shaping space to protect the body. In Mesoamerica, homes were built with mud brick walls that insulated against both the heat of summer and the coolness of winter. Roof openings allowed smoke to escape while keeping warm air low. During winter sickness, healers often advise families to sleep closer to the interior courtyard's protected walls, where temperature shifts were minimal. In northern tribes, winter lodges were crafted with extraordinary sensitivity to the environment. Wooden frames were covered with thick hides or woven mats, creating a cocoon of warmth. Floors were lined with furs, trapping heat beneath the sleepers. Heated stones were placed along the edges of the lodge, releasing warmth slowly throughout the night. These lodges functioned as natural humidifiers, preventing the dryness that aggravated winter lungs. In East Asia, ancient homes featured heated floors long before similar systems appeared elsewhere. In Korea, the Ondel system used channels beneath the home to carry heat from the kitchen fire to sleeping rooms. In China, heated brick beds called kang allowed the sick to lie upon warm surfaces that eased both chills and deep coughs. Every culture found its own way to shape architecture into a healer. Let us pause now in a quiet scene within one such dwelling. A family sits beside their hearth. The mother gently closes a thick curtain to block a winter draft. The father places warmed stones in a cloth pouch and sets them at the feet of their aging father. A child recovering from a winter cough lies on a raised bed, wrapped in wool. Beside them, a small bowl of water steams softly, moistening the dry air. The home feels like a sanctuary, not because of wealth or grandeur, but because every corner has been shaped with intention. The ancient world teaches us something simple and enduring. Healing begins with environment. A warm room, a close draft, a beam of sunlight, a raised bed, a steaming bowl of water, a hearth gently glowing through the darkest nights. These were not luxuries. They were lifelines. Tonight, as your breath softens and the world grows quiet around you, imagine resting inside one of these ancient homes. Feel the warmth rising from the hearth. Sense the comfort of thick walls guarding against winter winds. Hear the faint crackle of firewood and the rhythmic breath of those resting nearby. You are safe. You are sheltered. You are held by a home crafted with care. With this warmth surrounding us, let us drift onward to the next chapter, where healing takes on a more spiritual shape through the voices of priests, shamans, and wise ones who tended the mind as gently as the body. The healing voices, priests, shamans, and wise ones as winter deepened across the ancient world. The cold did more than chill the body. Its long nights weighed upon the heart, its dim days slowed the spirit, and its quiet air sometimes left the mind wandering into uneasy shadows. Ancient civilizations understood this truth well. That illness lived not only in the flesh, but in the emotions and thoughts that accompany the colder seasons. And so, along with herbalists and healers, another group stepped forward to guide their communities through winter's trials, the spiritual caretakers. Tonight, dear traveler, we visit the sacred spaces where these wise ones practiced their art, soothing the weary, comforting the frightened, and bringing harmony to the unseen parts of winter wellness. Let us begin along the banks of the Nile, where ancient temple priests served as intermediaries between the mortal world and the divine. Deep within the cool stone corridors of a temple dedicated to Sekhmet, goddess of healing, a priest tends a small altar. The night is quiet. The moonlight barely reaches through the narrow slits high on the temple walls. Before him burns a lamp filled with fragrant oil. Its flame flickers gently, releasing a warm glow that softens the stone around it. A woman enters, her voice hoarse from a winter cough that has lingered too long. The priest does not reach first for herbs or tools. Instead, he invites her to sit and breathe in the aromatic smoke rising from a bowl of burning resin. Frankincense and myrrh swirl in the air, calming her breath, easing the tightness in her chest. He murmurs a hymn, not to cure her, but to bring her mind into stillness. Ancient Egyptians believed the soul's rest was a vital part of physical healing. Anxiety, sorrow, and fear especially heightened during winter's quiet isolation could worsen illness. After the hymn, the priest instructs her to rest in a side chamber warmed by clay lamps. She lies upon a woven mat, eyes heavy, allowing the smoke to drift above her. In the morning, she will receive herbal medicine, but for tonight, the temple offers her peace, the first step in renewing her strength. Now, let us journey far away, across oceans and forests, to the lands where shamans guided their communities through the harshest winters. Snow blankets the earth. The air is sharp and crystalline. Inside a round lodge warmed by a central fire, a shaman prepares to tend to a young hunter who has fallen ill after days spent in freezing winds. The hunter shivers beneath heavy furs, his breath strained, his spirits shaken. The shaman begins not with a physical remedy, but with rhythm. He lifts a drum, its surface stretched tightly across a wooden frame. He taps it once, a low, resonant sound that echoes through the lodge like a heartbeat. Then again and again, slow and steady. Each vibration seems to travel through the cold air, warming it, softening it, easing the tension in the hunter's breath. For these northern tribes, the drum was more than an instrument. It was a bridge between the physical and the spiritual, a guiding thread that helped return the ill person to balance. As the rhythm continues, the shaman burns herbs, juniper, sage, cedar, each chosen to cleanse the air, calm the mind, and symbolically chase away the shadows of illness. When the scent fills the lodge, the shaman leans close and speaks softly to the hunter. You are safe. Winter's spirits have no hold on you. Breathe with the fire. The hunter's breath begins to slow. The fear in his eyes dims. The warmth of the ritual surrounds him as surely as the furs wrapped around his body. These spiritual ceremonies, blending scent, sound, and intention, were not simply mystical beliefs. They were powerful emotional support during the isolating depth of winter. Let us travel next to Greece, where the line between healer and philosopher blurred. Within the serene chambers of a temple dedicated to Asclepius, pilgrims seeking cures often spent the night in special sleeping rooms. They lay on stone benches softened with wool, surrounded by gentle torchlight and the faint scent of medicinal herbs. Before sleep, temple attendants whispered prayers and encouraged each pilgrim to reflect on their worries, for they believed healing dreams visited only those whose hearts were lightened. This practice, known as incubation, was deeply spiritual. The Greeks believed that dreams offered insight into the emotional roots of illness, fear, grief, loneliness, or even suppressed thoughts. A priest would listen to the dream the following morning and interpret its meaning, guiding the pilgrim toward emotional, spiritual, and physical healing. Imagine a winter night in such a chamber. The torches cast long shadows across the smooth marble floor. A breeze hums softly outside, but the room is warm. The pilgrim closes their eyes, the world fading into slumber. In the dream, a gentle figure appears, offering comfort. Upon waking, the pilgrim feels lighter, as though the illness has loosened its hold. Whether spiritual or psychological, the result is the same: relief. In Mesopotamia, wise women, known for their spiritual insight, used chants to ease winter sickness. Their voices rose in rhythmic patterns, believed to soothe restless spirits and bring peace to troubled hearts. They believed illness sometimes gathered strength from emotional distress, and so they sang to bring comfort where herbs alone could not reach. Meanwhile, in small Asian villages, monks practiced quiet rituals of breath and meditation. They taught families that winter stillness was not something to fear, but to embrace. Slow breathing calmed the nervous system, easing winter anxieties and helping the sick recover more quickly. Throughout all these lands, a shared idea emerges. The mind shapes healing, the spirit carries strength, and the calm heart welcomes recovery. Even the simplest rituals carried great meaning: a whispered blessing before sleep, a warm hand placed on the brow, a song sung softly beside a fire, a prayer uttered over a steaming bowl of herbs. These acts eased loneliness, a feeling that grew sharper in winter's quiet. They reminded the sick that they were not alone, that their community held them gently through the season. Now, imagine a universal scene, one that appeared in countless forms across ancient civilizations. A patient lies resting. A healer sits nearby, not hurried, not fearful, simply present. A gentle voice fills the room. Prayer, chant, song, or simple comforting words. The air is warm. A flame flickers softly. The body relaxes. The mind opens. Healing begins. The ancient world understood something that resonates even now. The body may be treated with herbs, but the spirit is treated with presence. Tonight, as your own thoughts soften and drift, imagine sitting beside these ancient spiritual healers. Feel the warmth of their fires, the calm of their voices, the reassurance, and their steady presence. You are safe here, dear traveler, wrapped not only in history, but in the timeless truth that healing is nurtured from within. And so, with your breath now, let us move onward to our next chapter, where ancient remedies meet the knowledge of our time, revealing how their wisdom continues to echo through modern winter wellness. Echoes of ancient remedies today, approximately 1,000 calming words, as the long arc of history bends toward the present. The ancient world does not fade into silence. Instead, its wisdom lingers like footprints in fresh snow, like the faint glow of embers, long after the fire has dimmed. Though thousands of years have passed since Egyptian healers crushed herbs beneath torchlight, or Greek physicians whispered instructions by the hearth, Remedies, and insights continue to echo gently through the winter practices we still cherish today. Tonight, dear traveler, let us step into this space where past meets present, where ancient remedies breathe quietly in the heart of modern homes. The journey begins with something so simple, so familiar, that we rarely pause to acknowledge its history. A warm cup of herbal tea. Across countless winters, people have reached for warm infusions to ease discomfort. And the herbs we use today are often the very same ones our ancestors trusted. Ginger, for instance, travels seamlessly through time, Ancient Asian healers praised its warming qualities. Roman cooks mixed it into healing broths, and Egyptian scribes wrote of its cleansing energy. Today, we sip ginger tea to soothe nausea, open the breath, and warm the body from within. Unaware that we partaking in a ceremony older than recorded history, honey too has crossed millennia, unchanged in its purpose. The Egyptians called it the nectar of the gods. The Greeks believed it carried the warmth of the sun, and the Romans added it to nearly every winter remedy. Modern science confirms what ancient healers long observed. Honey softens irritation, calms the throat, and supports the body during winter's quiet challenges. Its sweetness, both literal and symbolic, continues to comfort us on cold nights. Garlic, sharp and humble, remains a timeless guardian. Ancient civilizations ate it raw, crushed it into tonics, and boiled it into soups, recognizing its strength in bolstering the body during seasonal illness. Today, garlic still plays a role in winter wellness. Its unmistakable flavor lingering in warm broths and remedies worldwide. Though we no longer speak of spirits or divine protection, the instinct to reach for garlic in winter remains unchanged. Even the act of breathing warm steam, so common in modern households, has its roots in practices performed thousands of years ago. Egyptians instructed families to heat water and inhale its vapor infused with herbs. It echoes through modern ideas of winter balance, the harmony between nourishment, rest, warmth, and emotional calm. Greeks taught that meals must balance heaviness and lightness depending on the season. Today, without thinking, we gravitate toward these same meals when winter settles in. It is as though our bodies still remember the teachings of those who lived long before us. Even our approach to the home mirrors the wisdom of ancient architecture. We seek sunlight through windows, much like Greeks who allowed morning light to warm their living spaces. A lamp glows softly, casting warm light across the room. Someone drinks a cup of honey lemon tea. Someone else warms their hands near a heater. Outside, winter murmurs against the window. Inside, comfort blooms. This scene, though filled with modern objects, carries the spirit of ancient winter wisdom. But perhaps the deepest echo of the past lies not in our remedies or our homes, but in how we care for one another. When a loved one falls ill in winter, we draw near with the same tenderness shown in ancient times. We speak softly. We cook warm meals. We offer blankets. We check on them through the night. These acts mirror those of countless ancestors who, long before medicine took its modern form, understood that healing begins with care. Even the idea of rest, so crucial in winter, remains unchanged. Ancient physicians urged their patients to slow their steps during the colder months, to sleep well, to avoid unnecessary stress. Winter was a season of gentleness, they believed, a time when the body and spirit should be nurtured rather than driven. Today, we still crave that gentleness. The shorter days bring a natural longing for quiet evenings, soft routines, warm drinks, and slower rhythms. Though modern life often pushes us forward, something ancient inside us still whispers, rest, warm yourself, care for your spirit. Let the season move gently through you. There is, too, a an emotional wisdom that survives the understanding that winter can bring a heaviness of mood. Ancient Greeks spoke of winter melancholia, treating it with sunlight, community, baths, and soothing rituals. Today, we find comfort in similar ways, gathering with loved ones, embracing warm light, listening to gentle music, seeking balance through mindful practices. And finally, dear traveler, we carry forward the most important truth the ancients taught us. It is a tapestry, woven from warmth, nourishment, rest, connection, and intention. The echoes of ancient remedies are not relics of the past. They are companions, gentle, familiar, timeless. With their warmth lingering in our hearts, let us step into the final chapter of our journey, where the lessons of the past guide the winters yet to come. Lessons for the winters ahead, approximately 1,000 calming words. Winter settles around us like a great quiet cloak. It softens the world, slows our footsteps, and invites us inward into our homes, our thoughts, our memories, and our breath. For thousands of years, humanity has weathered this season with equal parts caution and courage, meeting its challenges with remedies, rituals, community, and wisdom shaped by time. And now, dear traveler, as we stand upon the final chapter of our journey, we look back across the landscapes, we across the temples of Egypt, the kitchens of Rome, the courtyards of Greece, the sweat lodges of Mesoamerica, the winter lodges of northern tribes, the healing chambers shaped by earth, stone, fire, and spirit. Their lessons drift toward us like snowflakes falling slowly through still air, each one carrying a truth for the winters yet to come. So let us gather these truths, gently as though collecting embers to keep warm through the cold season. The first lesson: listen to the body's whispers throughout ancient civilizations. Healers watched the body closely. They listened to soft coughs, studied breath, and paid attention to small discomforts. Winter illnesses rarely appeared suddenly. They arrived like quiet guests, offering signs. The Egyptians noticed dryness in the air before coughs deepened. Greeks observed the balance of warmth and cold within the body. Romans recognized fatigue as an early signal, a whisper before a shout. Today, we too can pause and listen. Winter encouraged slowness, a gentle invitation to notice when the chest feels tight, when the throat grows rough, when the body asks for rest. Our ancestors listened carefully, not out of fear, but out of respect for the body's wisdom. In doing so, they met winter early and softly. The second lesson: warmth heals more than temperature across continents. Warmth was the heart of winter survival. Warm drinks, warm beds, warm homes, warm hands, warm words. Egyptians warmed their mats with clay vessels filled with embers. Greeks gathered near hearths and sun-filled courtyards. Romans engineered heated floors. Northern tribes wrapped the sick in fur-lined blankets near fire. Mesoamericans entered steam-filled lodges, where heat soothed both body and soul. These traditions teach us that warmth is not simply physical, it is emotional. A warm room eases coughs. A warm drink softens the throat. A warm presence quiets worry. Winter teaches us to protect warmth wherever we find it, in our homes, in our communities, and within ourselves. The third lesson: nourishment is a form of love. When winter arrived, ancient kitchens glowed with purpose. Broths simmered in Rome. Herbal teas steeped in Greece. Honey and garlic blended in Egypt. Fermented foods strengthened travelers. Spices warmed hearts across continents. These meals did more than satisfy hunger. They strengthened bonds. Nourishment became a way of saying, "You matter. You are cared for. Let this warmth restore you." Today, when we prepare soup for a loved one, bring someone tea. or share a warm meal on a cold night. We echo this ancient gesture, an act of quiet love that stretches across time. The fourth lesson: the environment shapes well-being. Ancient architects designed homes with wisdom born of observation. Thick walls that held warmth, raised beds that kept sleepers above cold drafts, small windows that controlled winter winds, hearths placed at the heart of the home, sunlit courtyards that lifted the spirit, steam bowls that softened dry air in northern regions. People used heated stones, layered shelters, and communal fires. In Asia, heated floors and brick beds kept families warm through bitter nights. These ancient designs remind us that healing begins with the spaces we inhabit. A room filled with soft light, a quiet corner for rest, a warm blanket draped over shoulders. Each small choice shapes the way winter feels, offering comfort to the body and calm to the mind. The fifth lesson: community is medicine. Perhaps the most beautiful lesson of all appears again and again in our journey. No one faced winter alone. Families visited healing huts with food and blankets. Villagers gathered at sweat lodges to cleanse and support one another. Greek households shared the warmth of baths and courtyards. Roman families sat together near glowing hearths. Tribes sang around fires to lift spirits and ease fear. Even isolation, when needed, was gentle. It did not separate hearts. It protected them. The ancient world teaches us that winter becomes less heavy when shared, that a kind word warms more than any fire, that presence, even from a distance, heals. The sixth lesson: the spirit needs tending to. In every civilization we visited, winter healing touched more than the physical body. Priests soothed fears with hymns and incense. Shamans guided the sick with drums and sacred smoke. Monks taught breath and stillness. Wise women sang songs that softened the heart. Greek temples invited dreams to reveal what weighed the mind. Our ancestors knew what we often forget. Emotional burdens make winter illness heavier, and so they cared for the spirit with ritual, with sound, with touch, with prayer, with presence, whether through meditation, storytelling, or simple, quiet moments. They reminded the weary that they were not alone in the season's stillness. The seventh lesson: resilience is a shared heritage. Winter has challenged humanity for as long as we have existed. Yet here we stand because countless generations met its quiet trials with creativity, courage, and community. The knowledge they gathered of herbs, warmth, rest, environment, and spirit flows into our lives even now. Each modern remedy, each instinct to warm a room, each comforting word we offer is a continuation of their story. We carry their resilience. It is woven into our winters, our habits, our instincts, our kindness. A closing breath. Imagine now, dear traveler, standing at the edge of all the lands we have visited. Egypt's sands glow under moonlight. Greece's hills rest beneath stars. Rome's hearths flicker in the distance. Far lodges smoke gently against the snow. Across valleys and mountains and oceans, a soft hush settles as winter breathes upon the world. And in that hush, the wisdom of thousands of years gathers around you like a warm cloak. You are part of this story, a continuation of ancient resilience, ancient care, ancient understanding. Winter may bring stillness, chill, and quiet, but it also brings connection, reflection, and the gentle invitation to slow down and nurture the spark within. Tonight, as your eyes grow heavy and your breath softens, know that you are supported by the wisdom of ages. Every warm drink, every soft blanket, every moment of rest resonates with practices that sustained humanity through winters long past. And now, with your heart at ease, we close this final chapter, carrying forward the warmth, the calm, and the timeless truth that healing is not just something we receive. It is something we create with care, with intention, and with a quiet hope that tomorrow will dawn brighter than today. Sleep well, dear traveler. Winter is gentle when we walk through it together. And so, dear traveler, our journey through the ancient winters gently comes to an end. Across temples and hearths, across snowy forests and quiet kitchens, we've walked beside the healers, families, and wise ones who tended one another through the coldest nights. Their remedies, their rituals, their homes, and their hearts have whispered to us through time, reminding us that resilience is ancient and that warmth is something we create together. If your eyes have grown heavy, let them rest. If your breath has slowed, allow it to drift into the rhythm of sleep. You have walked far tonight, across centuries and civilizations, and now the road softens beneath your feet. Thank you, dear friend, for spending this quiet evening with me. Your presence here is a gift, and I am grateful for every traveler who joins these gentle journeys through history. If this story brought you comfort, if it helped your thoughts settle or guided you toward rest, I kindly invite you to subscribe, so these soft wanderings can find you again on future nights. As the spoken tale fades, relaxing music will continue to flow beneath you, carrying you deeper into calm until dreams rise to meet you. Let the night hold you. Let the wisdom of ages settle peacefully around your heart, and may the warmth of our ancestors' stories follow you into the quiet of sleep. Good night, dear Chavela, and may your dreams be gentle